ভজ গৌরাঙ্গ কহ গৌরাঙ্গ লহ গৌরাঙ্গের নাম রে যেই জনা গৌরাঙ্গ ভজে সে হয় আমার প্রাণ রে যেই জনা গৌরাঙ্গ ভজে সে হয় আমার প্রাণ রে সে
Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your family at this time. So we start with the invocation. Vande Gurum Isa Bhaktam Isa Isa Avatarakam Tat Prakasham Tat Shakti Sri Chaitanya Shamyakam Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we continue with our reading. We're almost at the end of our prologue in our discussion with the teachings of Lord Caitanya. So we start from this point. This was seen in his teachings to Raghunath Das Goswami. His treatment of Haridas Senior showed how he loved spiritual men and how he defied caste distinction in the case of spiritual brotherhood. So that's the prologue summary. Now we move on to Lord Caitanya's mission. So let's see mission. So TLC mission. Lord Caitanya's mission. Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu instructed his disciples to write books on the science of Krishna, a task which those who follow him have continued to carry out down to the present day. Due to the unbreakable system of the disciplic succession, the elaborations and expositions on the philosophy taught by Lord Caitanya are in fact the most voluminous, exacting and consistent of any religious culture in the world. Although Lord Caitanya was widely renowned as a scholar in his youth, he left only 8 verses called Shikshastikam. These 8 verses clearly reveal his mission and precepts. These supremely valuable prayers are translated herein. So we can see, although Lord Caitanya was such a great scholar, his contribution in scholarship was only these verses. 8 verses, Shikshastikam. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, we'll see he also compiled a beautiful Shivastikam for Lord Shiva. He's done smaller contributions like that, but his major synopsis as a maxims is the Shikshastikam. And it's something we recite every day in the temples, the prayers of Shikshastikam. I remember first looking at the first verse, Chetodarpana Marjanam. Ooh, that looked like a whole page in itself. How are we going to learn this? But in time, as we recite it every day, and this is the wonderful thing, that if you create a habit of reciting slokas and verses, you'll know it, second nature. All the verses that I learned and I studied through, I took time to recite them every day. That's all I did. And once you recite them, you'll see gradually it will become, the mind gets familiar with what's the next line, what's the next word. And that's how we learn the verses. Until then, we realize the verses. Then they have a deeper impact. Then when we recite them or quote them, they have a different revelation. It's not just the textual revelation anymore. It's not just we quoting a verse. It's a personal revelation. It has done something for us. Remember, Krishna is non-different from his books. So these are also personifications of Krishna. Each verse in Gita is non-different from Krishna. So when we recite them, it's a very prayerful, it's a very deep mood. So let's go over the Shikshastikam prayers. So verse 1. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years together, and thus extinguishes the fire of conditioned life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to taste the full nectar for which we are always anxious. So this is the benediction of the Sankirtan movement. It completely removes our anxiety from this material world, just engaging in Sankirtan. There's so many, we can do a whole seminar just on the Shikshastikam, but we're just mentioning it here for prayer purposes. Verse 2, O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies, and there are no hard and fast rules for chanting these holy names. O my Lord, you have so kindly made it easy to approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis. It's saying that so many names you have, Nam namakari bahuda, and all of them have nija sarva shaktis. Your personal energies, power is invested in these holy names. But my situation, I have no taste for chanting. I'm not even making the effort to chant properly. I'm chanting, but is it the effort being made to chant properly, to reach that Sudanam? You remember we did the 3 levels of the holy name: Nam Aparad, Nam Abas, and Sudanam. So we always have to have a goal. In motivation, hope alone is not enough. And hope alone will disappoint you. Why? Because you don't have a goal. When you set a goal, then you can hope to achieve a goal. But don't have hope if you don't set a goal. You're just inevitable going to cause disappointment in your life. Set a goal. That is what I want to achieve. When you set a goal and work towards it, then you can have hope. But if you're hoping, I hope it will work out. I hope it works out for you too, because you can see the level of confidence. You don't have the confidence. How do you expect hope to have confidence? I hope it will work out. I hope God will be kind. He is always kind. The point is, you don't have a point. You don't have something to work towards. You don't have a destination. Have a destination. You want to achieve Sudanam. You want to learn these verses. You want to serve in the best way, more service. And then you start working out how to do that. Because having a goal is very easy. That's not difficult. Having a goal is actually one great motivational speaker was saying, if you achieve your goal, you actually failed in life. I said, hey, what's this? He says, yes, because you dreamed so small that you were able to achieve it. Have a dream that takes 3 lifetimes to fulfill. Then you have a dream. Otherwise, this petty dreams, this is like daydreaming. Have a dream that you know it's going to take the energy of 3 lifetimes like Prabhupada did. Then you have a dream. Then you have a goal. And if you achieve one part of it, that's fantastic. Because it's the energy you would have put in, because you have a goal of achieving such a big goal, whatever you would have achieved would have been miraculous to normal people. This is the way you should dream. This is the way to understand mercy. This is the way to understand utility. If you dream small, then you'll be small dreams, castles in the sky. They say castles in the clouds. How high the clouds are. Don't dream for castles in the sky, because that you can even see. Dream, where is the limit of the sky? Where is the limit of that? Dream from that height, and then you work towards it. then you have energy, because now you're challenging yourself to such a degree that you're inevitably going to need spiritual intervention. You're inevitably going to need deep motivation that comes from the level of the soul. And this is proper hope. This is proper motivation. So number 3, one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect unto others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So there's the secret. You want to chant constantly, you want to chant pure name, then humility and no respect. Humility is the key. When you're humble, then automatically you see that everybody is doing service, everybody is engaging in Krishna's activity. You're not proud, you're not fanning the ego, you're fanning humility, which is the pure symptom of the soul. Remember, Chaitanya's teaching is starting from the level of the soul. It's not starting from Dhanam, Janam, Sundarim, those levels. It's not starting from wealth, name and fame, spouse, house. It's not starting from that level. It's starting from the level of the soul. Yayatma supasiddhati. You're starting from the level of the soul. Know where you're starting from. You start from that level, where will you end? Wow, what a journey that would be. This is where Krishna consciousness is starting from. So let's see, he moves on. Oh, number 4. Oh, Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I have desire for beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. I only want your pure devotional service, because that is what is only real. Everything else is what I've created here by my mind and what I'm believing here by that creation. So I'm living in my own dream. But devotional service is not a dream. It's based on the level of activity of the soul. When the soul acts, that is devotional service. When the soul connects, that is yoga. Number 5. O son of Nanda, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or the other I have fallen into this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So this is hope. You see, you're hoping for something so big. You're hoping for something so big that to transcend this material world. That is hope. Not to fan the small dreams and falsities that we've created by the mind. What the mind is saying is nice. What the mind is saying is enjoyment. Is this Dhanam, Janam, Sundarim. But what the soul is saying is real transcendence, real emancipation. That is Krishna consciousness. So if you want to hope, this is how to hope. That it may take a lifetime or two, but this kind of dream is not a dream. This is genuine hope. So it goes on, number 6. Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs on my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? He is saying that when will all these real symptoms of life come about? What is the symptoms of life that we have? This is the real symptoms of life, because these are the symptoms of the soul. If you're not living on the level of the soul, there's no life. It's an imagination that you have created, and now you are trying to fulfill that imagination. If you didn't learn 1, 2, 3, ABC, where would you be today? So due to all of that, you have created such a perfect image of yourself, and so does everybody else around you, that you start believing that this is reality. You believe it. It's not a fact, but you're believing it, because that is why one of the biggest things people are saying that came out with this COVID virus, is that people have really had a jolt on what is the reality of life. What are we running towards? What is the value of relationships? And the deepest level of relationship is with your Maker, with the Supreme Lord. So everybody at least got that jolt, temporary level of existence and the depth of relationship with the Supreme Lord. So COVID has done his job. He's the greatest preacher of all times. So let's move on. Number 7. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. So he's saying this is the symptoms of coming from the soul. This is how one feels when one is connected at the level of the soul. It's a genuine feeling of deep experience. We never experience anything like this in this material world, but this is constantly happening. It's a state of samadhi. You're constantly in samadhi. We were describing 3 levels of happiness: sukh, happiness, material happiness, and then ananda, which is like bliss, and then you get samadhi. So can you imagine what is happening to the body? It's actually breaking down because it can't contain the power or the experience of the soul that it's having when it's genuinely connected to the Supreme Lord. This is samadhi, and this is what he's experiencing. And the last verse, number 8, I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall always remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, yet he is always my worshipable Lord unconditionally. What does unconditional love means? It means there's no conditions. No conditions means there is nothing that I won't do for Krishna. There is nothing that I won't go. There is nothing that's impossible when one is connected to Krishna. This is the level of energy. This is where your energy is coming from. It's not nuclear, it's not physical, carbon-based energy. It's coming from the soul. That's what's feeding the soul, this kind of level of existence. So when one is connected on that platform, Visuddha Sattva, this is the pure level of the soul. When one connects on that level, it's a very different experience of life. Very different, very deep experience of life. It's not that one is just acting and interacting in this world. He's simply doing it as a service to help every other soul to come to experience this. What are you running after these fleeting material? What are you running after these temporary distractions and getting so disturbed by it? Because at the end of the day, that which is disturbing you right now, is it there right now? No. So what are you suffering? You're only suffering your memory. And at the end of the day, what you're really suffering, because the event takes a few moments and it's over and it's in the past. But what you suffer is your memory. You are suffering your memory. Why? Because the mind is constantly going there. You haven't got any closure. You haven't learned how to develop closure. So Krishna consciousness then gives you a goal which is higher than yourself. Param dristam nivartate, the higher taste. And when one is connected there, all these lower tastes become irrelevant. They're there, but they're not relevant. They have their purpose, but you don't magnify them like the way the mind is doing to you now. So you're simply suffering because of your mind. This is why Chaitanya Charitamrita is so important. It's teaching us how to understand the mind. You remember that 2 definitions was given to the gross mind, which is the knowledge and the senses. The knowledge we acquire and senses, the activity of the senses, that's the gross mind. And the subtle mind is the thinking, willing and feeling. So if we master these things, we master the mind. But people haven't even understood they got a mind. Never mind what. You don't even know you have a mind. And this mind, because it's not trained in spiritual life, disciple means discipline. Because the mind is not trained, it is completely making a havoc of your life. It's completely spinning you around whenever it wants to. And you can't do anything about it. Oh, yes, you can. Teachings of Lord Caitanya. Take spiritual teachings. Understand the components of the mind. Apply it to your life and make your life perfect. So let's move on. We move on to the introduction. Finally, we come to the introduction of teachings of Lord Caitanya. So TLC, introduction. Originally delivered as 5 morning lectures on the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the authentic biography of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami before the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, New York City, April 10-14, 1967. So we'll respect our time, we'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow. Hare Krishna.